Hickok 45 here. I was watching this one here. It was like this 22 revolver with a lot of rounds in the cylinder. I'd never seen anything like it. I mean, it had enough rounds to make sure you get your shot. So I liked the strategy with that one. It was smaller caliber of bullets, but you had more of them, and where generally you see most, I'd say most revolvers I've seen, they were a higher caliber with the less bullets. You're like, but you have more metal you shoot each time. Stopping power, I guess. If you miss these ones, you're out of rounds, right? But it's easier to load back up, I guess. You could just put one in the chamber and let her go, but I don't know. They have those rapid loaders for revolvers if you're out in the wild, wild west. I think I seen this one years ago. This must have been one of their big virals. This guy's got every gun in the armory. And he makes his own ammunition. I've watched him for years. I've watched a lot of his videos, but not all of them. And I've watched a lot of his gun safety. I watched him manufacture his own ammunition legally. Um, he's got a garage. He's got all types of ammunition. So does my father, John. My father, believe it or not, he made me so happy when he told me that he was getting into like explosive rounds and all that because I never thought my dad would get into the explosive rounds and all that like like I would want to. Not like that. They're like specialty rounds or whatever. I think he got some rounds or whatever. They have some sort of so they're like specialty rounds or whatever. So that made me proud because my dad always had a gun, but he was just buying rim for rimfire LR bullets and all that, just standard brass or whatever, just like the cheap Winchester, not the like just the normal Win, not cheap. They're good, high quality. I would call them high quality normal bullets. But he made me proud because he said, "Oh, Tom, I got some dragon's breath and all that or whatever," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Because a lot of my friends got the really, they got. I have another friend that's got pretty expensive rounds, but yeah, my dad went and got the Flechette and stuff like that, and the Dragon's Breath, and he's got all types of ones. And his 12 gauge shotgun. And you have to shoot that shotgun, I'll tell you, or your life could flip upside down. They'll, yeah, all of a sudden they won on you and all that. If you do not shoot your shotgun, they win on you. And then it's all of a sudden you're the one that no, no, no. We got the Dragon's Breath and we bought the property. See, when I was a kid, I didn't understand that. It was like, okay, we bought the property. Here's the Flechettes. Here's the this, that, and the other. But it's like when somebody tests you on your property, you let that Dragon's Breath breathe, right? Especially if it gets to the bad, 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 where they are like trying to like take your more than your dignity. Okay, it hits your dignity, then it's your life or whatever, and they're trying to like really take that soil from you, like you about to be fingers dead in the soil type of feeling. Then I let the Dragon's Breath. Right, I had to do it before, 2 times, 2 or 3 times, 2 times with mace, 1 time with a firearm. It wasn't my firearm either. It was the guy that had uh, pulled it on me basically, and I had to disarm him for it because I'm a Well, I've been on huge. I never brought the firearm to the party, but what is it called? Actually, it wasn't a party. It was just going at the store, having a hot dog, and picking up groceries. But they did bring the firearm to the party, and it was an illegal one at that. It wasn't in a holster, and it was like dangling out of their pants, and they were like looking at me all mean looked and all that. So I took it right out of their pocket and shot them with it. And I've never been safer since. But I wouldn't recommend you do that at all, right? Because you could be looking down the barrel of a shotgun as well. But I was just at a Costco. I couldn't even get out of the exit. We're just trying to exit. And it wasn't even like none of that either. It was like he gave me enough space to exit, and then it just kept creeping up on me like against this brick wall. Like it was hard to explain. You know that brick wall when you walk out of Costco? It was like there was a guy like with a gun, like, and he was like a thug or whatever. I don't know. And there's multiple of them, and we're walking out with our Costco groceries like this, and I'm completely unarmed. Like I don't have no gun. I didn't bring it. I'm not a legal carrier at all. All right, right. Of a firearm, and then all of a sudden we're walking out with the groceries or whatever, and there's a guy with a gun, and he's like pushing me into the freaking brick wall, basically, and like, so then I got to keep continuing to go, but he was making this 180 turn at me or whatever, so I caught him right in his 180 turn, and I was with my old auntie too, and she's decrepit, completely oblivious. But I was pretty oblivious too, actually. And sort of like this guy after the hot dog, but I wasn't this guy either. Just a kid, sort of, with my auntie who's a gold member. But anyway, that was one thing that happened, but it wasn't that big of a deal. It was dealt with professionally, and once I took the gun from him or whatever, I just put it on the ground, and I don't know. I never seen anything like it. I've been to Costco many times, and I never seen anybody like if you're a person that's carrying a gun in a holster or something, that's one thing. But to like push me into the brick wall or whatever, pretty much, and like be 180 turning on me, like with your hand going for it, with a mean look in your eye and all that. And I'm like, was a minute ago we were eating hot dogs and there was somebody that was with them or something, and they called them out or something like that. I don't know. So, but that's my only experience with that. Look at this, Mr. Joe Biden in Costco. Even Mr. Joe Biden loves Costco. Grabbed I wonder if this was for Mr. Joe Biden or if it was for somebody else. A 32-inch TV or monitor. Okay, that's what I got. 32-inch. Okay, he likes Panasonic. Books. He's got books. He's got the United States pin. I've always wanted that United States pin. It's like they all know that, but that's the thing. I've always wanted the United States pin, and you know what they say to me, Tommy? Maybe when you die in a casket, you could have your United States. Or I could just buy one, I'm sure. I'm sure you can buy one of those United States pins. Because there's people that die and they get their pins or whatever. But you can also just buy a pin, a United States pin. I have United States currency I bought. Just a quarter and a dime and a nickel. It's like an old kit, or I don't know what they call it anymore. It's mint thing or whatever. It's in a plastic case. Yeah, I got one. We used to have a lot of those, but I bought one personally for myself. Not too expensive though. $10, $15, I think is how much it costs. Look at this. Air Force retired. Yeah, I like retired. Retired's a good one. But there's nothing more like that presidential pin-up service. Isn't that what it's called? Residential pin of service. Something like that. It's U.S. Presidential Service Badge insignia. This one's really nice. This one's really nice. You know what they should do? You know, if I was the president, you could get this stuff made by that Trax NYC or that Johnny Dang or that Icebox. But they get these crafted by the mint and whatnot. But generally, like this one looks really nice. They have their own. I learned about that in American history, how they have their own government manufacturers. Some of the manufacturers, a lot of them are the same manufacturers that manufacture many other products in our consumer lives or whatever, like in the economy or whatever, or in the market or in the store or whatever. There's just all types of stuff. Like the people that print textiles and stuff, they also like there's some official government textile printers that do official notes and whatnot. And those are the only official. They know who they are who are printing the notes and all that. And that's what they taught me when I lived in the United States. They said they know who's making the notes and yada yada. Yada. Or I watched a documentary on it. They have official. Uh, yeah, they're pretty secure. Whatever. Look at this one, seal of the president. Well, actually, those ones that make the U.S. dollars are really, really secure. Those are like really expensive factories. So we've seen when they're printing out currency. Currency creation, money creation, or money issuance is the process by which the money supply of a country or of an economic or monetary region is increased. In most modern economies, money creation is controlled by the central banks. Many money issued by central banks is termed base money. Is that what they call them, the central banks? I don't go to the central banks very often. High property prices. Yeah, property is very expensive. Very expensive. Sort of like very expensive is property. Some people, it's either they have their property or and they live like that and they don't go anywhere else, or you have nothing and you live like that where you live. I don't know. It should be illegal to do that. I've heard people say that, but some people do it. But it gets you. Then you're in a cycle. You know what I learned is your property gives you a solid foundation. It's such a secure, solid foundation generally. You know there's going to be a tomorrow. You know there's going to be a next month. You know there's going to be a next year. But when you don't have a solid foundation like property, either renting or owning, uh, then it just as much as it's expensive. It's a huge. Well, it's a very well. It's a necessity. It's a and it's you need it. You need it. You need somewhere to live, or else, well, you won't make it. You'll go from being alive to being whatever. So, and you won't save any money, I bet, or whatever. But anyways, it depends on what point of life you're at. This isn't what I was looking for. I was looking for the videos when they make in the factory.
Ryland, your article is about how money gets created. We're surrounded here by gold in the vaults of the Bank of England, and historically, in the gold standard, the amount of gold would have been related to the stock of money in the economy. Things are very different now. In the modern economy, where does money come from?
Well, let's start off with narrow or central bank money. As the name suggests, central bank money is determined by the Bank of England and consists of notes and reserves. And in normal times at least, notes and reserves are determined by the amount of notes that people want to hold or need for their transactions, and the amount of notes and reserves that banks want to hold given the level of interest rates in the economy. It is not chosen or fixed by the central bank, as is sometimes described in some economics textbooks.
Your article focuses on broad money. What determines how much of that there is?
Well, broad money, which in many ways is a better measure of the amount of money circulating in the economy, includes all the bank deposits of households and companies. And one of the key points of the article is that banks create additional broad money whenever they make a loan. Now, while this is nothing new, it is sometimes overlooked as the main way in which money is created, and it runs contrary to the view sometimes put forward that banks can only lend out deposits that they already have. In fact, loans create deposits, not the other way around.
Now, your article explains in more detail how lending creates money. It also explains how there are limits to how much banks are likely to create new money as a result of lending. These could be profitability considerations of the banks themselves, through to how households and companies react in aggregate to having increased deposits as a result of higher lending. So obviously that's not...
The pension reserves will not materially affect.
Yes, it's how you react to the gold. There's only so much gold. I mean, 1 billion is a lot to a person. It could change a person's life. You could manufacture anything out of that bullion. Each little droplet of that bullion is worth money. You could transfer in to another thing that you wanted. But that's why they have notes. It's an automatic transfer and chip off of the gold and whatnot. Not automatic. They have the system to do it. It's the government agency running and everything. But like when you spend that note, it's basically like, oh, they traded this percentage of that big gold bar or whatever, because they have reserves of those gold bars, but they only have so many reserves, and we have to fucking protect them and all that. They're basically all the citizens' gold bars. But what are you doing? You have to get off your butt or whatever to make sure they're safe, or make sure you're going to do something to get your droplets of the gold, because it's right there. You just have to do some action for them to sign the thing to. Generally, the best one is the legal one. That way, you don't get in trouble. That you get your notes and everything, like legally or whatever. You can find some kind of legal job or whatever that's where people are paying you notes, and then you get like you have gold in that reserve. That's your gold for the amount of notes that you have. I mean, there's so much gold that you don't know which one's your specific bar or whatever, but you get what I'm saying? Is if you have notes, then then you have gold bars somewhere. Well, there's specific places if you wanted to get into specifics, but you got to have a reason to get into the specifics on where your country's holding your precious metal for your currency system. Yeah, I'm on ODSP. I'm on disability, and many are for their entire. Well, I know many of my friends all the way up until the day of their death. That's what I'm part of. I have a disability. I'm part of this disabled group of people. It's a really big group, and we talk about being disabled and all that or whatever, and we get our pension every month. It's like a big, gigantic group with like hundreds of thousands of disabled people, if not millions.